I once watched a video on YouTube that changed me in a way that sounds indescribable, but I'll try to do my best and explain what I can. It was a video by Alex where he was talking about the manga and anime of Blue Lock titled Blue Lock and the Meaning of Life. As he's explaining the main themes of the story and the motivations of the main character Isagi, I feel this random but substantial burst of energy completely welling up inside of me. This outburst felt familiar yet foreign at the same time, creating a weird paradox internally. As I listened to the video more and more, I was shocked at myself at how it could be so resonant with practically everything for almost no reason. But then I had an epiphany. The whole reason why I resonated so hard with this video in particular all came down to one thing. Alex's convincing delivery of the script helped simplify Isagi's whole objective into one sentence that I embodied, where my feelings, anxiety, and angst all worked in tandem to try to achieve an increasingly distant goal. I want to be the best. The result of that epiphany? The entirety of that next week had me with the clearest mind I had ever had, going as far as to say I was the most productive I had ever been in terms of activity, goals, health, you name it. I had so many ideas for videos that I was afraid of the backlog that would pile up in a short amount of time. I repeated that one line of wanting to be the best so much, I practically ingrained it into my very being for the future. And the biggest thing I began to understand from that video as a whole is how to draw out that motivation at will and feel that same feeling I had when I first discovered it. But if I stopped at that one YouTube video, then that wave of motivation wouldn't be anywhere near as self-sustaining, let alone survive for the long run. That's why I keep searching. I search and I search and I search and I search to keep that wave going. I don't want to stop. I'm afraid to, for if I do, I don't know if that wave would ever come back. And the way that I keep searching is by watching more and more anime. Now, that might seem stupid, but hear me out here. That Alex video gave me that conclusion from talking about Blue Lock. Blue Lock is a sports manga/anime where the goal at the end is to be firmly at the top of the soccer world, for better or worse. Would stories of that genre have that same effect if I explored them more? Or would I need to give myself a refresh and start on something completely unrelated from that previous one? This fork in the road question was something that wasn't easy to answer, aided by the fact that it took multiple years to do so. That being said, I chose to do the latter. And based off how I feel from the shows I've watched in the order that I did, I think it was the correct one. I think there is such a thing as too much of one thing. And who's to say that if I watched more shows like Blue Lock, Blue Box, Aoashi, Slam Dunk, and Captain Tsubasa all back to back to back to back to back, that each story's message would have resonated just as hard as it did the first time. Yes, all of those stories are in the sports genre, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't just start and stop there. If you have a hobby that you yourself are passionate about, there will absolutely be a show that resonates with you too, regardless of the genre. I'll give a few examples. I've always had a dream of wanting to be an amazing entertainer. I'm someone who wants to make streaming his main living, a YouTuber as a supplementary career, and someone who wants to perform for the masses. And for the longest time, several years probably, I was curious as to what kind of experience it would be like to be an actor, playing a role on camera, living a life that wasn't my own for a small bit of time. I never really had a desire to pursue it though, and I never was given that one push to go through with it. That was until I watched Oshinoko, specifically Memcho, and how she lives her life in the show. Everything about her, between her upbeat and eccentric personality to how she operated her brand and her career as a whole, was like I was watching through a looking glass of sorts to witness what the ideal image of this life would be like. That gave me the push I needed to want to try acting for the first time. That dream didn't last too long since I decided I wasn't really cut out for it like I thought I was. But But that experience and knowledge was so unbelievably invaluable that it actually impacted all of the facets of what I do now, like streaming and YouTubing. I feel so much more confident on the day-to-day. I have many more ideas of how I could be creative, and the most important part of it, I conquered my fear of stage fright. Before then, if I were to say, get up on stage like I'm about to perform a 12-song concert for about 1,000 people, you'd bet your ass I'd actually be nervous as hell. Heart beating fast, overthinking so many ways I could fail, afraid to be faced with the inevitable boos if I make even the slightest mistake. Now, even if I'm not fully prepared, or if I just happen to not know the lyrics to a song 5 minutes before the curtain rises, I'll be okay. Because at the end of the day, the main reason why people will cheer for me is that I understand that the show must go on, and it will go on. I bring up this concert hypothetical though, mainly from experience. I'm a musician that's always imagined himself making the best music, but that thought within itself breeds a little bit of a problem. I'm a perfectionist at heart, so I'm always putting myself under a lot of pressure to one-up myself after I complete something in that field. It also doesn't help that I've been out of practice for a while in my singing and my guitar, as much as I don't want to admit it, but it's the truth. Speaking of guitar, I've always kept my 2 in my room for the sole reason of just wanting to jam out for whenever I got the inspiration to. And for a short time, I actually did get that inspiration thanks to Bocchi the Rock. Bocchi the Rock has always been one of my favorite shows of all time, one of my only 10 out of 10s to this date. But it is that way thanks to no small part in its impact on me displaying how Bocchi, the main character, initially discovers her interest and passion for her guitar and puts in the hard work over years and years to the point where she becomes an internet sensation. That last part aside, seeing her absolutely enjoy this instrument and put her well-earned hours and hours of practice where she turns it into a refined skill, more or less reignited my love for my own guitars and why I picked them up in the first place. And I also discovered how much happier I was in general when I pick up the guitar and just do an individual jam session. I can go on and on here. Most recently, Freerun Beyond Journey's End inspired me to be more charitable and give as much support as I can to my friends and family, and also strangers if they seem like they're in need, thanks to Himmel the Hero. Same goes with My Hero Academia and Dragon Ball, and how watching their training montages to get stronger convinced me to get back into the gym and work for the physique I always have in my head. There's so many ways where I can draw motivation from that can help me be a better, healthier, and happier person overall. And like, go away, chicken. And like what One Piece says in its opening, I just have to find it. Anime has been my source for most of my motivation that has spurred me to be the person I am now. But that's not to say that you can't get that from other places outside of that medium. In those dry periods where I didn't get it from anime, I was able to draw out some motivation by just simply witnessing other people in their element. Might be a little TMI, but for the sake of the video, I'll admit it. I like muscle mommies, so if I see one in the local U-Fit, I instantly drop my phone and move on to my next set of reps because it reminds me of that physique in my head that I want to achieve that I mentioned before. It also works for whenever I'm feeling down or lazy and I'm way too in my head with anxiety. It might be a little more spontaneous, but if I catch myself getting into some sort of funk through way of doom scrolling or something similar, my mind is able to instantly be occupied by doing something much more productive. Some people are already aware of this process and are able to utilize it as best as they can. But I also understand that it takes a little more time for other people to fully grasp it, and that's okay. You have all of the time in the world and you're in no rush at all. The biggest thing is that you develop the ability to recognize your situation and how you act on it with all of the options you have at the table. If you're ever in the position where you've forgotten what this kind of motivation feels like, or if you've never had that spark that just convinces you to go out and do or get that something you've wanted for a while, let me try to explain what this feeling is as clearly as I can. It's all a matter of focus, and it can be used on a more broad, general objective, but at least for me, works better when you have one thing you can hyperfixate on. And that focus is a burst of energy that your body more or less essentially carries you and uses some form of muscle memory to do something before your brain catches up with you and internally says, okay, I know what I need to do. And really anything can trigger that burst of focus. For example, if you're an artist, it could be some really well-drawn art from someone else, and as you're examining it, you start to pick out some small details that many other people might not pick up on. And those small details are the reason you can take that next level in your own work. You have the eye for it, now you can act on it. If you're also like me and find it hard to struggle just to get out of bed sometimes, maybe because you literally just don't want to do anything on some days, then at the very least, do some small body movements. Start at your extremities like your fingers and toes and just move them around a bit. Then work your way up to your ankles and elbows, etc., etc., and so on and so on. You'll gradually feel the blood flow increase and then you won't feel so bad when you get out of bed. Small stuff like that can stack on itself and be self-sustaining throughout the day or week or however long you let it happen for because you were motivated to do so. At the end of the day, where people draw motivation from really depends on the person, and I can only share my experience on the anime side of things. But hopefully I can at least try to help in that regard if there's other people looking for a boost. And if you're someone that watches anime, maybe you can gain some new perspective and walk down a path similar to what I did. If you get motivation from the same shows I did, let me know your experience in the comments. Same goes if you found some motivation from different animes or other outside sources. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I've always wanted to show people how things like anime have affected my day-to-day and how much motivation is one of, if not the main source of everything I do thanks to it. If you want me to talk about more things similar to it, let me know down in the comment section. I read all of them and I'd like to engage with you all along with sharing my thoughts and viewpoints as to why I think the way I think on a certain subject. If you want to catch me elsewhere, I stream on Twitch multiple times a week and we talk about anime a lot as well as play games with the community along with some yapping too. If you want to join the community, the Discord server will be down in the description as well, so come check it out and come say hi. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subs, and I'm so appreciative of everyone joining the journey thus far. So if you want to tag along, smash that subscribe button as it's free to do so. That's gonna be it from me, guys. Stay awesome and keep being motivated. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.